Welcome to the AI Coach by Anel Nathu.
Yeah.
Decision making, it's such a core skill, isn't it? It really drives everything we do personally and, in business too.
Absolutely. Think about solving problems, reaching goals, being more efficient, adapting.
Managing risk, innovation,
Yeah,
it all comes down to making choices. Our sources today really highlight that.
right. One source frames it as this fundamental cognitive process selecting a path. It's not just picking something quickly.
No, it's about gathering info, figuring out the goal, weighing the options.
Thinking about outcomes, then actually doing it and seeing what happens. Good decision making is key for efficient operations, really.
Okay, so today we're taking a deep dive into a really compelling intersection, AI and decision making, but specifically within healthcare.
And this isn't just scratching the surface. We went through a lot of material.
Yeah, the initial search pulled up something like, what, over 14,000 records?
Incredible. And we managed to filter that down to 18 really high-quality review articles.
And those reviews themselves covered, get this, 669 other studies. So a huge evidence base.
It definitely shows how much research is happening in this space. It's moving fast. And from all that, three main themes really popped out where AI is making inroads in healthcare decisions.
Right. We've got clinical decision making, that's the patient care side.
Then organizational decision-making, how healthcare systems run.
And finally, shared decision making, the interaction between patients and doctors.
Exactly. So the plan today is to explore these, see how AI is being used, what the upsides might be, and importantly, what we need to consider as this tech gets more involved.
We really want to give you a clear picture of this complex field.
And the potential. It seems pretty significant. The analysis suggests AI tools could really boost the quality, the efficiency, the effectiveness of healthcare.
How? By providing accurate, timely, and more personalized information for those crucial decisions.
Precisely.
Okay, let's dive into that first big area then. Clinical decision making. This is where AI impacts patient care directly.
Right. And one application that came up was remote monitoring. That was highlighted in one of the key sources.
You can immediately see the potential there, can't you?
Oh, definitely. What's really powerful is AI taking all that raw data from wearables, sensors, and turning it into actual insights. It can analyze that constant stream, spot subtle changes maybe a person wouldn't catch.
And flag potential problems early.
Exactly. Maybe even hours before something critical happens. That's the promise.
Wow. Okay. And it's not just monitoring vital signs generally. AI is also being used for interpreting graphs and signals, right?
Yes, the sources mention things like interpreting fetal heart rates during labor, super time sensitive, obviously.
Right. Critical.
And also in echocardiography, looking at heart function from ultrasound images.
So in those cases, it's about accuracy and speed.
Precisely. AI can be trained on massive data sets of these patterns, learning to spot signs of trouble with, hopefully, high consistency and precision. It's about augmenting the clinician's expertise.
Okay, now this is where it gets really detailed. The reviews covered AI's role in diagnosis and prognosis across so many different areas,
Yeah, the breadth was impressive. Things like acute ischemic stroke.
where time is absolutely critical.
Definitely. Also, predicting and spotting early childhood carries cavities in young kids. And that review noted the AI models needed to factor in things like demographics, environment, even genetics.
Interesting. Then there was lung cancer diagnosis using these vision transformers. Sounds complex.
They are very powerful AI for image analysis, but the review did flag that they need a lot of computing power.
Right, so the potential across these seems to be about earlier, maybe more accurate, identification of conditions.
That's the core idea. For stroke, analyzing scans faster. For caries, identifying high-risk kids sooner for prevention.
And it's not just finding problems, but optimizing treatment too, like with antibiotics.
Yes, one review looked at AI for improving antibiotic prescribing, really important with antibiotic resistance being such a threat.
But there was a catch there, wasn't there?
There was. A big one. The review pointed out that while the potential is there, the actual integration into daily clinical practice and whether it truly improves things in that real-world setting, well, that hasn't really been assessed yet from many of these models.
Ah, okay. So showing it works in a lab versus making it work in a busy clinic are two different things.
Exactly. That gap came up repeatedly. Another review on AI for cancer diagnosis in real-world or prospective settings made the same point. Validation is one step, practical application is another.
And that review also mentioned needing a proper regulatory framework.
Yes, which makes sense. We need rules and oversight for using AI in these critical decisions.
We also saw AI applied to diagnosing febrile diseases, fevers.
One review mentioned fuzzy logic being used there.
Fuzzy logic.
Yeah, it's a type of AI that's good at handling uncertainty, situations where things aren't just yes or no, black or white, which often fits with diagnosing illnesses based on symptoms that overlap.
Okay. But again, the review said many of these models weren't actually implemented yet.
That seemed to be a common thread. Lots development, less widespread use so far.
And then mouth ulcers, AI for diagnosing those.
Seems specific, but yeah. That review highlighted benefits like better diagnostics, maybe more personalized treatment.
But it also flagged challenges.
It did. Data privacy, ethical concerns, these kept coming up. The potential benefits need careful balancing against those issues.
Makes sense. And we can't forget breast cancer diagnosis. Several reviews touched on that.
Right, using things like classification models and convolutional neural networks, CNNs, which are really good with images.
So helping radiologists read mammograms, perhaps.
That's a key area.
Yeah.
Augmenting their work, maybe catching things earlier, reducing false positives. The CNNs learn visual patterns like an experienced radiologist does. Then classification models help sort the images, like likely benign or malignant.
Okay. And finally, under clinical decisions, there was emergency department triage.
Yes, using AI to help sort patients by urgency. One review showed it could improve decision-making.
But Lanner, let me guess, lack of implementation?
You got it. Many studies hadn't seen it put into practice. Same kind of story for AI in emergency telephone triage and for monitoring cardiovascular patients in ICUs using their electronic health records and ongoing data streams.
What were the concerns there?
Big ones were generalizability. Will a model trained in one hospital work well in another with different patients? And interpretability.
Ah, the black box problem. Understanding why the AI made a recommendation.
Exactly. That's absolutely crucial for clinicians to trust it and use it safely. You can't just blindly follow a recommendation you don't understand.
Okay, that covers a lot under clinical decision-making. Let's shift gears to the second theme, organizational decision-making.
Right. So this is less about individual patient care and more about how healthcare organizations, hospitals, clinics operate more efficiently.
And the main focus here seemed to be on artificial neural networks, or ANNs.
Yes, a scoping review looked specifically at ANNs in organizational decision-making. It found quite a range of reported accuracy, actually, from 50% up to 100%.
That's a huge range.
It is. And interestingly, most applications were still at the micro level. Meaning decisions concerning the interaction between a patient and a provider, rather than broader system-level management decisions.
So AI isn't just about helping doctors. It could potentially help run the hospital better, too. Optimizing resources, maybe predicting patient flow for staffing.
That's the idea. Our sources reference some earlier work suggesting neural network learning could improve organizational management. Think scheduling, resource allocation, administrative streamlining.
But it sounds like it's maybe not as developed as the clinical applications yet.
The review suggests that, yes, fewer applications found at that macro organizational level. Still seems like an area with a lot of room to grow.
Got it. Okay, theme number 3, shared decision-making.
This one's about the conversation and collaboration between the patient and the clinician when they're making healthcare choices together.
And AI's role here seems,
Right.
well, less defined.
Definitely the least developed area of the three we looked at. A review focusing on AI in shared decision-making found it's starting to be explored, but there are some significant gaps.
Like what?
A major one was a lack of attention to incorporating the patient's actual values and preferences into the AI tools.
Which is kind of the whole point of shared decision-making, right?
Exactly. It's not just about clinical facts, it's about what matters to that specific person. Another issue was the understandability of the AI tools for the patients themselves.
Right. If the patient doesn't get how the AI is contributing, or if it doesn't factor in what's important to them, it could actually hinder that conversation rather than help it.
Precisely. The human connection, the dialogue is so central there. Any AI needs to support that, not get in the way or try to replace it. It's a delicate balance.
So stepping back and looking across all three, clinical, organizational, shared, what are the big takeaways from this whole review of reviews?
Well, first off, the quality of the reviews themselves was generally pretty good. They used a standard checklist, CASP, to assess quality.
Okay, so reliable sources.
Mostly, yes. But interestingly, none of them managed to meet all the criteria for including every single relevant study,
Right.
which probably just reflects how fast this field is moving. It's hard to capture everything perfectly in one review.
But the potential benefits seem clear. based on what was reviewed.
Definitely.
Okay.
Across the different areas, you see mentions of improved diagnostic accuracy, better efficiency in workflows, the potential for more personalized care, earlier disease detection, maybe even needing fewer invasive tests sometimes.
Those are significant upsides. But we also have to talk about the hurdles, the challenges.
Absolutely. Data privacy is a huge one. We mentioned that. Then there's the whole process of validating these AI algorithms, making sure they're actually accurate and reliable out there in the real world, not just in the lab.
And the ethical side again.
Yes, ethical considerations are paramount. One review specifically focused on ethics mentioned issues like fairness, justice, explainability, that interpretability piece again, and how humans and machines interact.
We also need doctors and nurses to actually trust and use these tools.
Crucial. Clinician involvement in developing and deploying AI is key, as is building that trust. Another review looking at mental health AI really highlighted that.
And what about other barriers? Just practical stuff.
Plenty of those. Professional training healthcare staff need to know how to use these tools effectively. Cost is always a factor. Accessibility can everyone benefit, or just certain well-resourced places.
And sometimes the actual proof that it works better in routine practice just isn't there yet, right?
Exactly. Limited evidence of real-world effectiveness in some areas is still a challenge. These things need to be tackled head-on.
Now, thinking about all this,
Yeah.
it connects to this broader idea of decision intelligence, doesn't it?
It really does. Decision intelligence is about using data, advanced analytics, machine learning, AI, not just to show what happened, but to provide actionable insights to make better decisions going forward.
Going beyond just reporting to actually guiding action based on likely outcomes.
Yeah. That's the core of it, understanding those complex cause and effect relationships. And platforms like the AI Coach by Anil Nathu are operating right at that cutting edge, leveraging these concepts.
And for you, our listener, understanding these trends, how AI is being applied, the idea of decision intelligence, it really empowers you to be more informed about where healthcare is heading.
Knowing both the amazing potential and the very real challenges.
And keeping up with resources like the AI Coach by Anil Nathu can help you stay current in this rapidly changing field.
Definitely valuable.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe we can leave you with a thought to chew on.
Go for it.
As AI gets woven more deeply into healthcare decisions, how do we strike the right balance? How do we make sure we harness the technology without losing the vital human parts of care? Empathy, trust, connection.
That's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? And maybe how do ideas from behavioral economics, understanding our own biases and heuristics, how do they help us design and use these AI systems ethically and effectively?
Lots to think about there. Thank you for joining us today. Visit the AI Coach website for more AI insights by Anil Nathu.